millions of people are going to be impacted with severe weather this week from the Midwest all the way down to the Great Plains. And as you can see on this map, this is today. This is our day one categorical outlook. So as you can see, we have two main targets today. We have up there in the Midwest, down here near Madison, Chicago, Minneapolis, that big risk where that enhanced risk is more of a severe threat today. And we also have a secondary risk down here in Oklahoma by Norman, Lawton, Abilene, Fort Worth, these areas for a lower end severe threat that could still be intense. Moving up here to the Midwest, as you can see, we have this big enhanced risk right here from Green Bay, Minneapolis, Mason City, these areas. We have a big threat today for some tornadoes, some wind, and some hail, mainly hail today. But in the latest outlook, we have been upgraded to a 10% SIG 1 risk today. So a significant tornado is not out of the picture, but we do not have a very intense significant tornado threat today. So reasonable max intensity of these tornadoes will be EF2 to EF3, but significant tornadoes above that are obviously not out of the picture. So as you can see, this higher probability of some significant tornadoes today. Now, I do think this area could see a decent significant threat that is higher than this, that 10% might get extended down there, as that will be where some of the more cellular, discrete stuff will be happening there. So the mini cells, the supercells that develop over there in a very, very good environment. Other than that, we have a risk for damaging winds up here. We have a risk for hail down here. This is going to be the big risk right here, the 30% SIG right here. So we could have some large hailstones up to 3 inches today in Oshkosh, Mason City, Minneapolis, the whole orange area you saw earlier. We're going to have a decent risk over here for some hail. And as you can see, this risk down here near Chicago extends from some of these supercells firing right now. Now, these will not serve a big tornado threat today. These will not pose a big tornado threat. As you can see, that 2% non-SIG, but some large hailstones not out of the picture here for Chicago. Looking at our current observations, this map might be a little bit difficult to understand, but I will break it down. I have been kind of implementing these more detailed breakdowns in, but as you can see, this is our pressure right here. We have a low pressure system situated near the Nebraska area with that 1002 millibar mark right there. And our warm front is situated kind of around here where that pressure tongue is. That's going to be where that moisture is going to be loaded there. And then our dry line / cold front is going to be positioned back here. It's not going to be super intense today, so not going to be super forced and super tight today where those temperatures, those dew points go from 30 to 60 in 20-mile span. So it's going to be a little bit more diffuse, and it's not going to allow for those storms to be forced and to be along that boundary better than it will be tomorrow and on Thursday. So that's going to be what we need to watch there later on tomorrow down here for an increased threat. But today we're going to have storms develop along the warm front and kind of drift down as this low intensifies. So you can see this a little bit better on the real-time mesoscale analysis page on weather-wise. So you can see our low pressure system right there in Nebraska. You can see our very broad warm sector right here, our dry line situated down here, all the way down from Omaha almost down to Del Rio. As you can see, a little bit diffuse. We have our 60s dew points over here and our 20s, 30s all the way over there, which is a pretty long distance. That will continue to tighten over the day and into tomorrow. And then as you can see, our warm front is kind of almost like this, all the way up to even past into Canada, past Detroit, past Milwaukee. And as you guys can see, we're getting really robust moisture today. Our 70s dew points are almost up to here already. And we've already got some developing near Iowa. So it's going to be a very open warm sector, plenty of room for storms to develop up here in Iowa, Chicago area, the areas that are in the orange. And that's why I think today could be a pretty big day for severe thunderstorms, because we have such a open warm sector with such high quality moisture as well that these storms are going to be moving into. Looking back at our meso analysis, this is our surface-based CAPE. As you can see, our low pressure systems right here. I'll go ahead and draw in our warm front again. But as you can see, we have a ton of CAPE, 3,000 joules per kilogram of CAPE. This is going to be plenty of CAPE, enough for severe thunderstorms to be intense and be very strong here. That's why the hail risk is going to be super strong today, as we have a ton of energy all across our warm sector that we have. 4,000s down there in Oklahoma. Over there is 3,000s all the way up here, 3,000s, 2,000s, which is only going to increase during the afternoon. Now we're going to be looking at our 500 millibar chart or graph, and this is what's going on. So this is basically the upper levels of the atmosphere, the middle level almost. It's upper in the air, and this is basically what you look at to see where the forcing is and where these troughs and everything is going to be. You've probably seen these before, but don't worry if you haven't. So as you can see, you have our big kind of trough-like structure right down there. Then you have this kind of ridging right here in the kind of the area, our risk area today. Then you can see another kind of trough almost that is moving off from our last system that impacted these last couple of days. So we really haven't had any crazy forcing at all that's going to be at play. See, most of our forcing is over here in these areas where our trough is coming in, and it's not going to be able to make it to the risk area in time. So we're not going to get a ton of forcing and not a ton of flow here. We'll have some broad flow over the day, not very intense, and we will have storms develop on the warm front in an uncapped environment, so we don't have storms to push them off the cap, push storms up from the cap and get the cap to break. Instead of, we just have this uncapped atmosphere where a bunch of storms will form on the warm front and become discrete if they do. And down south, we have a lot less forcing. As you can see, a lot less of these blue contours up here in our risk area. So it's going to be a little bit uncertain if storms are going to form today and if they're going to be very intense. But we do have the parameters in place to provide a significant tornado and a large hail risk today. So we were looking at some outdated information there. We're going to take a look at the newest model run on pivotal weather. So this is right now. We're looking at those storms out there right now. And funny enough, this model is not really showing any cellular development near Chicago at all. Now, the 12Z, the earlier this morning run that we were using, was showing some over there, so I would keep that in mind. I don't think it's out of the picture, but it does look less and less as these models progress. But let's take a look at this risk over here on the warm front. As you can see, as it lifts north and gets into position for today, this kind of boundary right here, you will see we have some discrete storms fire around here. This is going to be around 3 p.m., 4 p.m. up here, and then it's going to continue to move down into the Wisconsin area. This leading edge right here is going to be pretty potent, right? There's some robust storms right there. This is around 7 p.m. Note that we also have some supercellular storms forming out here, and this is where the best environment is going to be for a significant long track tornado today. That's why I said I think they're going to extend that 10% risk down to here in the subsequent outlook. So at 4 p.m., 20Z, they will change that. The next update will be, this is all in Central Time, by the way. So as we go forward, those supercells progress, intense updraft helicity patches, these areas right here where basically where a strong updraft is and supercellular activity. And then this will all fade away by about 10, 11, the supercellular activity should, and it'll congeal into a line and impact some of these areas in Michigan and Wisconsin, and then back down toward Chicago, Illinois area, where I think the wind threat will die down and it will make way for tomorrow's threat. Now taking a look at our convective available potential energy, our CAPE right here. As you can see, we move forward. It's going to intensify today around 4,000 joules per kilogram, and you have a very broad area of very strong moisture and just CAPE. And as you can see, our best environment, like I said, is going to be right around the low right here in Iowa, where that 4,000, 3,000 plus is going to be. And obviously those supercells were right there. As you saw, we go forward into tonight, and then some of that energy gets shunted away. But what's interesting is on these last couple models, instead of the supercells over there eating most of it away, we get a ton of CAPE getting advected up into here, which should actually make tomorrow's event more intense. We'll see how those new models come out and how they look. This is the 18Z. This hasn't came out all the way to 48 hours yet, so we will just have to use today's morning run for that. But that looks to be pretty potent there in Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin over today. Finally, let's take a look at our significant tornado parameter, or our STP. And as you can see, anywhere in these areas right here, this light gray, this dark gray, is conducive for significant tornadoes. So as we go forward into today, as you can see, it gets really intense in these 3+ areas, these 3+ on the scale, yeah, where you get some real intense tornadoes along the dry line, cold front thing, and then the warm front right there. And as you can see, we have a big pocket right here in Wisconsin along that first Boeing segment we saw that could pose a tornado threat, and our supercells moving into that big, real intense STP maximum right there. And earlier today, I want to take a look at our 12Z run. Not to freak you out, I think it was a little bit overdoing it, but as you can see, we were looking at about 9 to 10 really dark pink colors right along that cell that we saw on our first run. This is not out of the picture. This is not a thing that will not happen, but it's a thing to keep in mind during today's severe weather outbreak. We have a significant threat for severe supercells right down here, and that's for sure. We're going to have supercells today. That's pretty much set in stone. How intense and how long are they going to last is going to be the big questions going into today. Like I've mentioned in a previous video, the Warn-On forecast model is actually running today. So as you can see, we can get a kind of closer look at the atmosphere and what could happen in a more high resolution. And it looks like what the HRRR was saying, we do have a little cell that pops up here. We just need to watch what happens. Everybody in our area needs to, in that area, that orange area, that yellow area, needs to be watching this for all kinds of threats. We have to watch and see what happens. A lot of these are kind of mixed bags on what's going to happen. These are all the different members. So member 1 shows kind of more discrete cells. The only thing about all the members that they all agree on, sorry, it's a little fast here, you can see all of them have supercellular development right here. And this is the number 18 here. It shows kind of what the earlier HRRR was saying, a big cell developed. It's producing a big cell right there, and that is causing big problems right there. So, like I've said before, supercells more out west, linear convection more out toward the Wisconsin, Michigan, Chicago area overnight tonight. So now looking at our actual sounding right here, that's just coming in, we're looking at this low-level curvature right here in the low levels. That's going to be where the wind shear is just speeding up right there and moving in a different direction. As you can see, at the surface, it's moving almost due north, and then at 500 millibars, it's moving this way to our east. The winds are moving to our east. So we're going to be seeing a lot of changing winds with height that allows for that photograph to have that curvature. That's going to produce that 240 SRH for our storm relative helicity, our wind shear. And looking at the cape right here, all this filled in right here, we have a lot of cape, but it's upper level cape for now. Like I said in the moisture, as you can see, we had 63 and 76. Our dew points are at 63 at the surface and 76. That's a pretty large spread. And our cap right there, this could just be a product of being more west and more toward our boundary. So not signifying what's in our broad warm sector. Our real rich moistures in the upper 70s, or upper 60s and 70s, excuse me. And we're looking at that, 68 to 72 like dew points. But right here, we're seeing our 63 dew points. So we still have that cap right there. Looks like most of the environment will be non-capped. It will erode over the next couple of hours if there is any. And we will see development here in the next hour or two from when this video is being recorded. Looking at tomorrow's threat, we have 2 main hotspots. One up here in Iowa, Davenport area, and then one down here near Wichita Falls and Abilene. These areas are going to be where the significant severe weather is going to be. So we're going to take a look at the southern side of this event so far. Our tornado threat, 5% hatched, SIG run risk right here. So a significant tornado would be possible in these areas tomorrow. And our wind risk would be about a 15% normal. Pretty normal here. It's not going to be a huge damaging wind risk. And then obviously our hatched hail risk goes all the way up here. For our hail is going to be our main threat, especially down here in Oklahoma with hailstones up to 2 inches possible. Taking a look at the new HRRR that is coming in right here, looking at the newest model for tomorrow, you can see we have some kind of discrete multicellular development tomorrow, and it kind of bows out into a line over the night. We'll take a look at our significant tornado parameter. Pretty good, especially up here in Kansas. We could see something up there. It's kind of weird how that is kind of going all the way up there. Some photograph looks kind of weird down there, but a lower tornado threat. We still have that 5% hatch tomorrow down there in Oklahoma. So large hail tornadoes. Now the Midwest tomorrow is where I'm worried about for a possible risk expansion and a risk that is going to be growing tomorrow in area. As you can see, we look at our Boeing line that we were talking about like earlier, and we see it move down, and it models this kind of outflow boundary like thing, kind of almost, which we'll see our more forcing come in, that trough coming in from the west, and it's going to provide a lot more forcing for tomorrow. So we have a lot of multicellular, supercellular activity up there, those storms from earlier we were talking about, and then supercells moving in to these areas. Now, this model is a little old. It's just now coming in, so it's a little weird. I think we will see some supercellular activity up here in Michigan, and let me just take a look at the STP. Just look at this. It is insane over such a big area. It's going to be a wild event. I think we could see up to a 15% hatch risk. Look at that. We got a big photograph. That's kind of lake breeze-ish on that sounding right there. Let's go south a little bit, and then we'll see our real, like 70s dew points, a lot of Cape, a lot of SRH from our new forcing and our wind shear coming in, the actual trough coming in. And if we go back to the 12Z, we can take a full picture of what's going on here. This model goes out a little bit farther. Cells fire hit Chicago around 9 p.m. Some cells fire in Ohio that I'm worried about down there. And Michigan, that's going to be the main risk before the line comes through. And then all this kind of just low end severe rain and convection over here. Not a real big boundary area that we're going to be watching to kind of push these storms away, except for up here. So taking a look at our STP on this one, same story. Tons of STP up here moving into the Michigan area. This is pretty bad, honestly. So we're going to have to watch that for a risk expansion or a higher risk tomorrow. And actually, the risk on Thursday continues. So if we go back over here, it's going to lead to another risk in the same areas the next day. So I'm not going to cover this. We've reached a long period in the recording here. I don't want to make this video drag out a little too long, but I will make a video tomorrow talking about the updated stuff on tomorrow's event and today's event, and we will see how things are looking for that day and even the day 4 risk we have, or day 5 risk that we have over Springfield, Oklahoma, most of Oklahoma, Iowa, Waterloo, Davenport, Emporia. This could be a big event as well, and some more down the line. We will talk more about that in our next video. But thank you guys for watching. Stay safe out there. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. Thank you guys for 200 subs. It means a lot. We are trying to get to 500 as our next kind of goal. So if you would like to help me out, like and subscribe. Thank you guys. Goodbye.